Welcome to Peak, Train Like a Girl, a podcast by girls in sport, for girls and coaches in sport. We're here to amplify your voice. It deserves to be heard. At Peak, we are a safe place for girls to hang out, learn, grow, and build community. We empower girls in sport and coaches with knowledge, resources, and support we think is necessary in today's athletic environments to thrive. Join us for bold conversation about experience of girls in sport. Our discussions will make you laugh. I think they're going to make you learn. They might make you cry, cheer, get frustrated, and hopefully rethink the future of girls in sport for generations to come. So whether you're walking, commuting, just getting home for the summer, take us with you. Follow us. It helps more than you can imagine. Make sure you give us a 5-star review and absolutely share with a female athlete or coach you love. Now, I am over the moon, thrilled and excited to be bringing back, I just talked to Lily about this. She was our very first guest on the podcast. She was leaving Libertyville High School on her way to Michigan State to start her rowing career there and her academic career in college. And we are so excited to get caught up with Lily. But first, are you ready to get warmed up, Lil?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, now we got to settle in. So, 4-star hotel or camping?
Ooh, probably camping.
Nice. Gym workout or workout outside?
Workout outside.
Nice. I kind of thought you were going to say that. Summer or winter Olympics?
Summer.
Nice. And is that because of your new love of rowing, or has it always been summer?
Kind of always.
Nice. I love that. Well, thank you so much for getting warmed up. Thanks so much for being here. I want to do a little refresh. So people who didn't hear which is really our 3rd episode, but the first guest we had was Lily. Give a little recap of where you were it'll be over a year ago. So prior to graduation from high school, give us a little update on what was going on in your life. And then why don't you take us to your first step on campus at Michigan State?
Sure. Yeah. So I was graduating high school just about a little over a year ago. And I was a 3-sport athlete all through high school, ran cross country, played basketball, soccer, did track my senior year. And then I was kind of like looking like, I don't want to be done being an athlete. I love being an athlete and love being active. And I knew that being a 3-sport athlete and just all that I had done could get me somewhere. So I was like, what's my next path? And then rowing kind of came into my life, and I got a new amazing opportunity to go row at Michigan State University. So I took that and then kind of took the whole summer to train and, just have fun with friends and stuff. And then before I knew it, I was on campus and was training with these other D1 athletes, and it was just like a dream come true and kind of like just crazy to like just step back and think about that. But yeah.
I love it. So let's take a little pause here and let's talk about that. So obviously you were a well-rounded athlete. You played soccer, you played basketball, you participated in track and field, you participated in cross country, and in track and field, you actually did the field event. So you were really a well-rounded athlete. You were a thrower. So you did a lot of variety. What made you think that you could figure rowing out?
I knew a lot of girls on social media and like past teammates that I was good friends with kind of did the same thing as me, where they were either like multi-sport athletes or just like were, an athlete and then just were really active in other parts of their life. And then I feel like rowing like slowly got to become like just something that I became more like interested in, saw it more often on social media or through like teammates, them going to go row. So I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And coaches and programs all over the country say that not a lot of high schools have the opportunity, to have a rowing team. So they go in search of just multi-sport athletes that are willing to kind of like take the jump and just try something new.
I love that. So they're looking for multi-sport athletes, but they're also looking for athletes, I'm assuming, that are coachable, that are passionate, that are willing to work hard. I mean, they're not taking any three-sport athlete, right? There's also a personality type, I'm assuming.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can be as athletic as you can be or as you are, but I mean, just from this year, I've learned so much of the mental side of rowing and just the mental
Uh,
side of like rowing. Like a lot of people have like an image of what rowing is, but then to really just be in a boat and like our my coach says all the time, your willingness to be uncomfortable is something that you really have to like get used to. So there's definitely a mental side, there's definitely, like, a personality and just kinda, like, a little bit of craziness about you that makes you wanna do it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And you talked about not being ready to be done with sport, and some of that is obviously the physical high of getting out there and challenging yourself and working hard. So certainly that's some of it. But I'm also thinking for you, you understand the correlation to being a high performing athlete and then also then translating that into the quote unquote real world or the work world where we know statistically that girls that stay in sport and girls that participate in sport longer have better, not only health outcomes, but they have much better work outcomes, meaning they're higher performers at work, they're more satisfied at work, they stay at work longer. Was that also part of it for you? Or was it just the physical part?
I'd say it was definitely a part of it. Not like I just have always been involved and have always wanted athletics has given me a really good way to kinda manage my time and it's given me a good
Mhm.
schedule. So it was kinda like best of both worlds, I would say. But, I mean, from being on campus and hearing and talking to so many other college athletes, especially my teammates that graduated this past year, they were like, "Put MSU rowing on your resume, employers love that," and so I was like, "Okay, that's a plus for sure."
Yeah, and I love that you talk about the time management piece because it's interesting. Most people would say, "Oh my gosh, being a D1 athlete or quite frankly, being a Division 2 athlete or a Division 3 athlete, because those are all require extra amounts of time." People are like, "Oh, I can't possibly manage that in my schedule." But what you're saying is it actually made you better organized and better scheduled. Am I saying that correctly?
In a way, yeah, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I think that because one of the things with moving into a college experience, you do have a lot of time. I mean, you're not in school, like in high school, you're going from 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, and then you've got sport until 5, and then your time is basically spoken to. But in college, you're going to one or two, maybe three classes a day, and the rest of the time you are organizing your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's almost too much freedom for freshmen moving into a college scene. Do you think that's true or not? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, and then when you with athletics, do your coaches give you a schedule? I mean, do you have to be at a training table? Do you have to be in certain hours where you're studying, or do they kind of let you figure it out on your own? How did that work?
For just academics or, like, rowing too?
Specifically for academics here.
For freshman year academics, first semester, we had a mandatory 8 hours of study hall. So we would go to the athletic academic building, and we
Uh-huh.
would have to swipe our ID and scan in for 8 hours. Tutoring was included in that, so that was a big
Oh,
big perk of athletics is you get free tutoring. So that would count in your 8 hours. So, yeah, you just have to clock 8 hours a week, and then we have athletic academic, like, specific advisor, and I'd meet with her every other week, and
wow.
then she would help me just, like, managing assignments and grades and things, and so that would be accounted for in every other week as well.
I love that. So they're concerned about you not just as an athlete, they're concerned about you as a student. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's super impressive. I love that you're saying that. So now talk about the actual physical demands. Going from a high performing high school athlete, obviously you were putting in the work there. Was it a big difference moving from high school into college? Were you prepared for it? Were you not prepared for it? Talk to us about that.
I would say it was similar in like it was a busy schedule in high school, busy schedule in college. I mean, in ways it's going to be a jump in everything you talk about, but I would say the most similar would definitely be the schedule and just
Okay.
knowing that you had to practice every day type of thing. I would say the most different is definitely, like, yes, I was prepared from, like, being active and being an athlete almost, year round basically, but the physical demands do go up quite a bit. I mean, walking, into freshman year, it was a big jump just of, like, you go from we would go from in the beginning of the school year, it's 8 hours, and then once you hit, like, your big chunk of the season, you're 20 hours a week plus of work. So just managing that with like fueling yourself and sleep and things like that was definitely a big jump because by the end of the year, we're basically trained to like run a marathon is what they like to put it into terms. So just like changing my diet and, basically bumping everything up a couple levels, but I at least had a very good like base from high school, I would say.
Good. I like to hear that. So when you talk about bumping it up a level, so are you talking about everything from volume and load when it comes to both aerobic conditioning and strength training? Are you talking about both? So it's more volume and more weight or more reps? Are you talking about both?
Yes.
Yeah. So did you see yourself? Did you feel that as an athlete, you changed? Do you think you're a higher performer now than you were? Could you see physical changes and could you measure changes throughout the year?
Yes, yes, totally.
Yeah, that's really, and what is that? Whether did that come with, and you talked about nutrition, you talked about, changing your nutrition plan, sleep. What did some of that look like? I mean, I'm assuming that at the level you're working now, you had to be taking in more fuel and you had to require more sleep. Both those things have to be true, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. We were told, like, the amount that, like, not only any athlete has to eat, but the amount that a rower specific because we're out on the water for 2 plus hours, and
Wow.
we have to make it through the day, and then we possibly have weight room later that day. So just, like, the amount of food, I don't think any freshman, or at least me and my teammates didn't really realize is just crazy how much food we have to eat, um,
Yeah.
to, like, just refuel and allow our muscles to recover, and then just sleep just lets you recover and just is super important, and you can really get behind if you don't really prioritize your fuel and your sleep and your hydration.
Yeah. And I know you and I have talked before about the fuel component that you need the fuel to both perform and to recover. And then you and I had a conversation specifically related to one of the measurements for a female athlete, which is awesome, is we can measure the consistency of our period. Are we getting a period? Is the flow the same? Are the days the same? Those type of things. Was that something you were able to also stay on top of and manage in a college situation? And are your coaches talking about that also or not?
I would say I was able to manage it. We have a team nutritionist, which is super amazing, and so there's lots of resources there, and so I wouldn't say, like, our coaches mentioned it too much, but I would say, like, our trainers were always saying that, they're an outlet, they're a resource, and then our nutritionist was there for help, so we definitely had, like, the resources and the outlets that if I or my teammates didn't need them or just wanted to use them, if you were curious or whatever,
Right.
they definitely were there, yes.
And what was the culture of the team like in general in regards to not only supporting each other through the performance, but also through the recovery process and the fueling process? Did you find the team atmosphere supportive or competitive with each other, or competitive, but also encouraging each other? What was that like?
I mean, when it's go time, we're always gonna be competitive, especially in the winter when we're on the
Yeah.
ergs and we're lined up and we're, doing sprint pieces and things. But when we're in a boat on the water, it's like the 4 or 8 of us have to work together in sync. Of course, there's times where we're gonna be super competitive, but I mean, going through like erg season, like you're never gonna I never knew I'd experience something like that. It was definitely, like, changing, but in such an amazing way. We see each other at our lowest lows and at our, craziest times and at the best, highs of our highs. So, like, we've seen each other through it all, so I feel like we really know when to be competitive, and then we'll be done with a piece, and we're, giving each other high fives and screaming at each other when we get a PR. So, like, it's definitely best of both worlds, and I had amazing captains this year. They created, like, little families, so we had,
Hmm.
like, group chats, and they would be, like, checking in every week and just making sure we were always knew that we had girls to, like, reach out to, especially, like, the upperclassmen. They were like, "We're not scary, like, just please reach out to us, like, we wanna talk to you guys." So it definitely was best of both worlds, and I think that's really what made such a good, like, culture and just family-oriented team, for sure.
Oh my gosh. That, first of all, that idea of create mini families is so good. I may have to borrow that from Michigan State and implement that into our programming, because I think that is really good. Being on a team is awesome, but then breaking it down and having more intimacy and more intimate conversations, I think, is so important. So if you don't mind, I may borrow that from you.
Yeah, I mean, rowing is such a big team, just like cross country and track,
Yeah.
I'm sure other teams. It's a lot of girls in one space and in one team, so it definitely
It's
is
so
helpful
good.
to break it down for sure.
I'm wondering, I want to stay here for a little bit and talk about mental performance, which is not the same as, mental health. So we're talking specifically about mental performance. So the ability to push yourself, as your coach says, you're going to push yourself harder than you ever thought, and it's not going to feel good. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. But the question I want to talk about is, I think that's what makes the difference or drives the difference on a winning program, is the ability, particularly in a sport like rowing, which can be an individual sport, as you talked about. When you're on the ergs, that's an individual thing. Obviously, when you're in the boat together, that's a little different. But you're competing against each other for a spot. You're competing against each other, to be able to be the best. And so that's the same as it would be in in tennis or cross country or running or swimming. There's a bunch of examples. The thing that I struggle with, and I think teams struggle with, is the ability, like you talked about, to have the switch, to know that you can get in there and you can work as hard and try as hard and want to dominate, and you can still be an awesome leader, an awesome teammate, an awesome person, because you can turn that on and off. But sometimes other teammates can't see that. I know one of the words that has been thrown around on our team is a quote unquote try hard, where that's a bad thing, when really it's not a bad thing. Like, we want girls trying as hard as they can, and that's a good thing. But how do you think, is that a maturity thing? Is that a cultural thing? Is that something coaches need to work better on? What do you think? What are your opinions there?
That's a really good question. Um I would say it definitely is like a culture thing, like just
Hmm.
relating it back to rowing. There was one of my teammates I like really looked up to this year. She was killing it. She got a PR for her 2K and 6K. She was just a beast, and I feel like all my teammates really looked up to her. And it wasn't that I don't think any of us really saw her as a try hard. We saw her
Mm.
more as a she not only was a captain, she was a senior, but she also, like, was a leader in that way of trying hard. She was a leader to where she was putting herself on the line, not only for herself, in your so-called, like, try hard label,
Yeah.
but she also had a drive within her to always for always improving, every practice, but she also wanted to lead by example and show that it can be done. If we wanna strive and make improvements as a team, it needed to be done by each of us. We can't put it on our teammates, it has to come from us first. So I think that it might be, like, I wouldn't really say a maturity thing. I mean, I definitely remember seeing it when I was younger in teams and things, maybe when you're still getting into a sport or something like that, but I think when you go to the college level, the collegiate level, at least what I have seen, if you're a tryhard, I mean, then you're doing something right in my
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, the tryhards are doing it right, right? Yeah. I think you're right. I think that I wonder if there's still some social stigma in some high school settings where, where there still is a girl should be doing this, not that. And yeah, I wonder if there's some of that. I don't know the answer. I think you're exactly right though. I do think it's a cultural thing, and I think that we need to be able to create spaces where girls want to get in there and get dirty and work hard and perform at their best, and understand that that doesn't mean just because I'm doing my best doesn't also mean that you can't do your best. It is more of a philosophy of abundance than lack. And I think maybe you're right. As opposed to a maturity thing or a boy girl thing, it's more the idea of abundance as opposed to an idea of lack. Do you think there might be some of that in there?
Possibly. I mean, there's always gonna be some boy-girl stigma.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, when they added girls flag football for Illinois State High School, I was so excited, and I was like, "Okay, now let's make girls blacks like contact. Like, let's
Yeah,
put some," like, I even on, like, social media, I see all these hype videos of these guys, getting, in the weight room, all that type of thing. And like with girls, it's like, oh, if a girl posts that, then like, you're not, your feminism can be,
in jeopardy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say,
I think you're right.
so I'd say I don't know. I feel like it's just like someone's got to start it and everyone will follow. But I definitely do think it just depends on the vibe of the team and just, having, the goals and your values that you want as a team. And then I think if a team sets, a goal and they all agree and all have that same drive, then no one's going to look weird or crazy or look like a try hard. They're all going to go out there and perform and do amazing things.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That's amazing. I do want to get cooled down in a minute, but before we do that, is there anything looking back at your first year at Michigan State? So a couple things. We talked about all the things that went awesome. Was there anything there that was hard, or so either you can answer both or one or the other. So was anything super hard, or was there something that you want to do differently moving into year two?
Oh, good question. Um, I would say, I mean, I would say like for racing wise, I would say definitely keeping my same type of, like, it was super, like, we would be at the start line for races, and they'd be, like, counting down the minutes till we race. So I feel like that was just super tricky because, like, after my first couple of races, I definitely had that experience, and I knew what to expect and knew what was gonna happen, but I
Hmm.
also had that, like, just, like, nervousness, and I also didn't know what to expect at the same time because
Sure.
each race can be so different. So I definitely feel like that was tricky, and then by the time like, I blinked and it would be over, and it was, like, crazy. You spend, all this time, like, just worrying about it and being nervous and being excited nervous, and then you blink and it's done, and you're like, "Oh, wow, I just did that." So I feel like that was definitely hard, just the like, bringing together the mental and physical part into that, like,
Sure.
6 or 7 minutes of a race. But I think definitely heading into next year, I have a lot of experience under my belt, and I feel like I really can hopefully turn those nerves into more excitement and more just drive to really, break down that, 2K race into something that's, like, even more powerful, even more special with my teammates, so to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because this is something I really do talk a lot about when it comes to mental performance because I think because of social media, we throw around words so easily. And the idea of this, nerves or anxiety. And what I try to tell people is, can you imagine being a highly competitive athlete and not having like a little nerves or anxiety to get your heart rate pumped and to get you warm and ready to race? Like, can you imagine if you went on to the race line like you were getting out of bed or having a bowl of cereal? Like, no, the nerves actually serve a purpose. So I love that you said that you're going to turn more of the nerves. Like that nervous excitement and that nervous anxiety is super good for performance, but now how to take even just a little more of that and turn it into the excitement piece. So I love that you understand that you need that. You need that to kind of jolt you and get ready to get off that start line. And like even you said, it seems like a long race, a 2K race, but it's over in a blink of an eye. And you got to be prepared. The heart rate has to be racing. You got to be warm. You got to be ready to go all in and go hard.
Yes, totally. If your start, if you come off the start slow, like, you're already a little behind,
Yeah.
sadly, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. I think that's such a good lesson for athletes to understand. Those nerves, you need those nerves and they're going to help you perform and they're going to help you perform optimally. So just learning how to control that. And I do think that like, even like you said, you're going to do a little better with that next year. Like I do think that takes experience. So that's super fun. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your full life to fill us in on everything that's going on. I was able to follow what you were doing a little. So it is kind of fun with the Big Ten. There are things that get televised online and was able to see it. And the thing that always struck me was how smooth it is. I expected it to be, I don't know, I guess it's when I'm rowing, there's like things splashing all over, but it was so rhythmical and it was like so smooth. That struck me the most. It's a beautiful sport to watch.
Yes, there's lots of technique, and once you're in the boat, there's definitely a little splashing here and there and a little craziness, but yes, from the outside, it definitely just is something that's, like, so not a lot of people get the chance to see or know about, so it definitely is something to watch for sure.
I agree. Hey, Caitlin, do you have anything you want to add or ask Lily before we get cooled down?
I just wanted to say how awesome and inspiring it is for you to go so 100% in on something that you weren't familiar with. With high school, obviously, you said that recruiters look for rowers that are just great athletes and have a great spirit. So, yeah, I just want to applaud you because you've done such an amazing job with something that you didn't have a ton of experience with. You didn't really know what you were getting into. And I think that takes a lot of bravery. And yeah,
Yeah, super cool. I agree. All right, Lil, let's get you cooled down. How about, oh wait, we're still in the warm up. I'm in the warm up. Do you have a favorite pump me up song before you get in the boat?
Oh, probably, probably, like, a Zara Larsson song.
Nice. I love it. Do you prefer music or no music before competition?
Music.
Okay, I'm telling you, it's about 50-50 now when I'm asking people. I
Oh,
thought it would
really?
be almost all music, but no, it's probably 50-50. It's amazing how many people like the solitude, the quiet. So that's super fun. All right, favorite female athlete right now.
Oh, right now? Trying to think. I'd probably have to go. Actually, my teammate Sabrina, she just graduated and she's headed to the collegiate world games for rowing this summer. So I'm excited to watch her.
Man, that is awesome. And I love that you can shout out a teammate. Yeah, go girl. I love that. Super cool. Now this now we're moving on. Is there opportunity after college for rowing? Is there a professional rowing? I mean, I know there's Olympics.
I think there's like any sport, there's like your development U23 type of teams. But that's definitely something I want to get to know more about, even just to follow on, watch the races and things. But yeah, I think there's like a lot of like different development camps, national teams. A lot of girls go off to like represent USA just in like other races that are
Cool.
not necessarily connected to Olympics, but there's all sorts of different things, all sorts of different opportunities.
Amazing. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to keep learning more and more what little I know. So I'm excited to keep absorbing information from you. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as Caitlin and I did. Again, Lily, thank you so much for taking the time out of your full life. If you are listening, don't forget to follow us. Make sure you are sharing our episodes. Join us on Instagram. We share all of the latest information on there. And if you haven't heard, we are launching a training app for girls in sport. We are super excited about it, and we're going to keep getting you more and more information about that. So have an awesome day, and until we see you on the pod again.